Hello, everyone. Sky News and The Guardian win the prize for the best summaries on the war in Ukraine today. Actually, they've been pretty well on the game lately, Sky News in particular. So let's dive right in. NATO still doesn't know how to deal with Russian drones. When they cross over into their territory, they scramble the jets. In this particular case, one was shot down over Latvian airspace. Also, there was a major drone attack by Ukraine targeting an export hub in the north of Russia in the Leningrad/St. Petersburg region, which Ukraine has confirmed. And once again, they pointed out that the products from that particular export hub are used by Russian military. They're supplying Russia's armed forces. So as long as Russia continues the practice of the dual purpose goods, which is using their civilian enterprises to supply components to the army, like drone components, one of the prime examples, this is going to keep happening. And clearly they don't care for the safety of their civilian enterprises, otherwise they would have separated those. They haven't. So those places, export hubs, warehouses, etc., continue to be essentially military targets because they supply Russian military. Once again, there are fuel outages and fuel shortages in Russia. Again, sorry, not sorry. The price of gas is fluctuating sharply, and this is hitting not just smaller areas, not just border regions, but most of Russia, including the capital, Moscow, where they're once again seeing long lines for gas. And this comes right after Ukraine had hit yet another major refinery, which has been forced to shut down completely. So once again, right now, Russia is reduced to purchasing oil from India, and I continue to marvel at India's willingness to be Russia's ally, considering India's own history with colonization. You guys need to go back and read your own history books, because what Russia is doing is what was done to you. And as predicted, Russia rejected any ideas of a ceasefire for any reason whatsoever, because they don't want Ukraine to get any breathing space. Well, I'd like to remind you all, folks, that if Ukraine doesn't get breathing space, as you call it, you don't get one either. So I don't want you whining about it later. I don't want to hear any complaints of your citizens saying, oh my God, we're seeing those drones every day. You didn't want breathing space? You got it, pal. And here it is. So we had a drone enter Latvian airspace. NATO had to scramble jets. The Ministry of Defense in Latvia said this was the result of Russia's electromagnetic warfare. Doesn't surprise me at all. And I'm sure other countries sharing border with Russia, not just Latvia, but Estonia, Lithuania, Finland, are not feeling warm and fuzzy about this. And my question to all is, again, aren't you guys tired of this bullshit? And case in point, there was another drone crash in Romania near the border with Ukraine. Again, Romania, aren't you tired of this bullshit? This is not the first time. It didn't cause any damage. Fortunately, nobody died, but it landed in the forested area. Aren't you guys concerned about the forest fires? Look up what's going on in Canada and the American Northwest right now. Yeah, you want that to happen? Uh-huh. And again, thank you, Sky News, for really driving the point home. So what they did, I strongly recommend this. Pop over to Sky News and look up this timeline. Every drone incursion along NATO's eastern flanks in 2026. So this is just this year. And they made this nice little scrollable timeline of drone incursions. Now, some of the drones were Ukrainian strays, but most of these were Russian. And again, NATO, EU, hello, this is your countries. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And do you think it's going to stop at drones? Are you waiting for a ballistic missile to cross over? Are you waiting for a guided bomb to cross over? What? Just curious. Meanwhile, somebody got their comeuppance. In Crimea, a bomb killed a Ukrainian sub-commander who defected to Russia. He was killed in a bomb attack in Crimea. His name was Robert Shagayev. He was a former Ukrainian naval officer who switched his allegiance to Russia when Crimea was annexed back in 2014. At the time, he was commanding Ukraine's only submarine. And so this man has been labeled a war criminal, which he totally should. So the attack on him took place in Sevastopol, and a woman was arrested on suspicion of assassinating him. At this time, there's no comments from Ukraine. But in addition, 4 Russian explosives experts and a security guard were killed. So, again, I have no problem with this. Remember also, there are separate independent underground groups working in Crimea, in the occupied portions of Ukraine, and in Russia. The biggest of them is Atash, but there are others. So it is possible that they don't wait for Ukrainian special services to place an order, so to speak. It's possible that people are sick and tired of this bullshit and are taking matters into their own hands. Meanwhile, what does Russia do? Attack a passenger train and kills 2 people. This was in the Odessa region. Overall, there were 340 people on that train. Typical. Another Russian assassination plot has been thwarted as they tried to kill a Ukrainian American citizen in Warsaw. This was basically an attempt to attack a U.S. citizen on the territory of a NATO country, of another NATO country. And it is possible that that particular person was undesirable for Putin. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And of course, yeah, they're not going to comment on the incident. But I'm sure there's going to be an investigation on the matter. And there has been a body swap between Russia and Ukraine, returning the dead soldiers to their loved ones. Now, once again, Russia has manipulated the numbers in such a way as to appear that there are more Ukrainian casualties than Russian. That is typical. Everybody knows it's not true. And Ukraine is condemning the Russian parliamentary election next month, which they plan to carry out in the occupied areas as well. It's bound to be another election, much like the ones they had in Crimea when they annexed it at gunpoint, basically. And it is likely that people will be threatened and intimidated into going to vote and watched very carefully as they do so. This is illegal. This is not their people. This is not their territory. But again, typical for Russia. More to come.